Hi, I'm Charlotte Werner Ambrose. I'm currently Miss Super Senior Poland Universe, and I'm here to discuss the effects of a stroke. My husband, who was a corpsman in the Korean War, he was very active as a senior softball player, and he began to lose his balance on the ball field, and we couldn't figure out what the connection was. And because of that, he had to use the walker and eventually was falling and hurting himself. Our family was devastated.
What age was that?
At age 68, even though he was still playing that senior softball, that was his life's enjoyment, and he began to feel depressed that he could not be stable, and he was losing that balance on the field, walking, daily living, and we traveled to many, many places to figure out what the problem was.
Yeah, that's good. What were the warning signs that alerted you to a stroke, this condition?
Eventually what happened after trying to seek some answers, Tom came home and he was a radio announcer whose diction was perfect. He could not utter a complete sentence. I was looking down when I heard a sentence come out of his mouth, and I asked him, "Please repeat that. What'd you say?" And I recognized that he needed help, and it was a symptom of a stroke. So we quickly went to the emergency room of the hospitals, and even then they couldn't figure out the reason, which was extremely upsetting. And 6 months later he had another stroke, which I had to call the ambulance at that point, since he collapsed on the floor and was in a fetal position. And finally the advanced radiologist discovered it was the basilar artery up the back of the neck that caused the imbalance. The cerebellum was not getting a blood supply, and no one connected that. Tom kept saying, "I'm fine if I'm sitting. As soon as I move, I know there's a problem." They kept telling him he was old, which he was, but his ball player friends didn't have that problem. And eventually, we figured out that it was a stroke. So if your loved ones are telling you that they're having trouble with balance and with movement, please ask them to check that basilar artery up the back of the neck, because that's where the problem is.
Anything else you'd like to talk about the overall experience that most people wouldn't know about?
I think the overall experience of it was frustration, totally, because even though he was given advice of pills, take this pill, and if it gets worse, come back, it ruined, for a year, Tom was devastated. He went into a depression. I tried to find another soldier to talk to him, to allow him to express his feelings to somebody. And eventually, of course, it ended up where he did fall, which was a worry of mine. He was on blood thinners and suffered a brain bleed. So it seemed like it was a domino effect. But if only they would have checked that basilar artery, he could have enjoyed the last 5 years of his life, even more so. So please be alert, be aware. If someone is acting a little strange or has difficulty in doing the normal, everyday chores, seek help immediately.
That's very good. Anything else you want to say about the telethon or to the telethon?
I am extremely happy that a telethon is warning the public. The public needs to be aware. This is such a devastating happening, but it can happen at any age. So don't worry about whether or not it's an elderly person only, but a young person can suffer that same devastating stroke. So please notice, check your loved ones and make sure you're aware of what they're doing.
That's great. And where are you coming from, Shar?
Yes, I am broadcasting this from GRTV, Grand Rapids, Michigan, the public TV station.